It happens.
How you doing?
Also, I'm full of whiskey.
Still.
Oh, yeah?
Somehow.
Yes, Chris made some friends with Texans last night.
Yep.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. And then almost got in a fight with one.
Oh, what?
Kinda.
I did?
Really?
Well, when you started talking about Greg Abbott, he was like, careful now.
Yeah.
Careful,
be careful.
friend. Yeah, careful, friend.
I do not remember that.
Yeah, well.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Hello, and welcome back to RTFB. This is Travis, and today Chris, other Chris, and I are going to go over the remaining chapters of Starship Troopers, and the long-awaited arrival of some god-dang bugs. So yeah, if you're reading along, you'll want to have finished the whole book to ensure we don't spoil anything. But before that, and the real ones already know, if you're listening to this episode of the season, you've just earned or re-earned the right to call yourself our favorite listener. And you're about to get a code that may or may not get you entries for upcoming giveaways. So, grab a pen and paper and write this down for later. Your password for this season is On the Bounce. Yes, On the Bounce, which is actually a passphrase, but whatever. Okay, now, let's stop messing around and get back to my conversation with the Chris's already in progress.
Because I renewed by online, so it was renewed. It was like fine. Like if a cop scanned it, it shows I was good, but like they never sent me my sticker. I think I mentioned that.
Yep.
So and I just never had time to deal with it, and I'm like, fuck it. I didn't have any problems, but I was like, if I leave the state, someone else isn't going to be able to check the system, so
Yeah.
I should probably get that fixed. And I did. It was fine. I did.
That's what we saw a lot here in Dallas, is like out-of-state license plates that were expired for several years.
Yeah.
Because there's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if it's like out of jurisdiction or they just don't care, but anyway. Hey, we read this book.
Oh my
We
god.
did.
We did.
What do we think
Bugs.
about the second half? Finally got some bugs.
Yeah. It's kind of
Talking
action-y
bugs.
a bit. Action-packed.
Yeah. Yeah. They had all the war were declared in this half.
They did, yes.
What did you think?
It was good.
It's not a ringing endorsement.
It was good.
It was good.
It was fun. It built on all the shit from earlier, so I really
Yes.
liked that. We finally got the fleshed out, stuck in the war type stuff you wanted to get from the first part. So
Right.
True.
And it definitely built out on the societal concepts for me too, which I liked.
Yes.
Especially when Johnny's in his officer candidate school. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
it was pretty good.
I think that was like another, like basically any time in this book anybody's talking about their opinions about things, anytime anybody's expressing their philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, again, going back to that whole thing about how like people think Heinlein is like super conservative right wing or something.
Yeah.
I don't really get that.
I don't really get that either because it's like which characters are saying what, you know?
Yeah, like to me it's
like,
all just
like it's still hilarious to me like how much Johnny Rico is just like fucking floating through life, like letting people tell him what to do.
Right.
And like this is
that's
how
being
he
a good
ends up
soldier.
where he is.
Yeah. All the way to like what was he ended up like the lieutenant of that ship at the end, like you should go to
and the head of the
OCS.
Roughnecks.
Like, all right,
Yeah, he was not the
Rico's Roughnecks,
not the captain because you can't have two captains.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was the.
Yeah, I guess you don't, because I'm like, the Army, that rank is a different one.
Yeah.
Well, they
captain's
said
further
they said
down.
in the book, like, a captain in the army gets promoted to a major just by courtesy when they're on a boat.
So they don't have to call them a captain because that's not the correct rank on the ship.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lieutenant, so in the Navy.
Yeah, it's all very confusing.
It is.
I'll admit, I got a lot of like military tired head in this section.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Talking about like platoons versus like
there were definitely some things that I scanned over. In this section.
Like I know I had to memorize that hierarchy at one point. Again, for my extensive military carear.
Yeah.
But like
probably
I don't know.
from playing video games.
Right.
Like I need to lead troops.
Well, my problem is like I memorized the Navy officer ranks, but like not enlisted, so I can't ever tell you that shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I wanted to know like where my parents fit and kind of what their role was like. But since they were always officers, like that's the one thing I thought was neat about their military here is like first you have to be a regular like enlisted person before you can become an officer.
Right.
Yeah.
Really, unless you're like super awesome in the get go, then they just might push you through.
Yeah.
Right.
But because in our militaries, that's not how it works. Like.
Yeah.
That does happen sometimes, but you don't have to go that way, so you can just start off as an officer like my parents did.
And they even point that out in the book, right? Like,
Heinlein
has that whole thing about how, like, in the 20th century military, like, they had, like, so many more officers.
Right.
Yeah, they did.
And he's talking about how, like, the character, whoever's talking at that point, is talking about how it made the military, like, completely ineffective for fighting wars.
Yeah.
That was that guy's opinion.
Yeah.
In that section, basically. That, like, too many officers, they got nothing to do. We gotta give them shit jobs.
Right.
Bullshit
That's
jobs.
true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did.
Not wrong.
Reading through those sections did think a lot about, like, corporate America, too. Like,
oh, absolutely.
How many, like, upside down org charts.
Yes.
Where you've got like a couple of people doing the work and then 3 people managing them and then 3 VPs and then managing directors and stuff.
Yep.
Also doesn't work very well in a corporate setting either.
It really doesn't.
No.
What did you think about what we learned about how they started like this society? Like, what did they say? It was veterans of whatever.
Yeah, after
fucking thing,
like,
basically there was a third world war.
Yeah.
And
it was like China versus Russia.
Everyone else.
Russia,
basically.
America, Europe,
Right.
And basically one hemisphere versus, like,
sorta.
Kinda, China and whoever their allies were versus the US, England, and Russia, and whoever their allies were.
Right.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, there were like so many POWs, and like it was just too complicated to figure out because all of the governments had collapsed at that point. And so all of the veterans of that war just kind of rose up and took over.
Right.
And started to like just impose martial law wherever they were.
Yeah.
And decided to keep it.
Right.
That's basically how it ended up this way.
Yeah. I did like that one guy talking about how, like, well, why did we do it this way? Like, because it's lasted.
Yeah,
it worked.
Because it's okay. And that's like the only valid argument you can make about a system, honestly. And when he said that, I'm like, this is why we are using capitalism. Right?
Well, yeah, the argument is like, it's the worst system except for every other one we've tried.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it you know, it always takes me back to that, that Megadeth quote.
Mm.
I have to bring that up.
Of course you do.
But, if there's a new way, I'll be the first in line. But it better work this time.
Right.
Yeah. It's important that your governmental systems work, or else they don't really do anything.
Right.
I'm going hot take right here, guys. Like, this is my political science.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see it today, especially in our government, with this governing these ruling without any responsibility, really.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, huh. Like, because even back when Highland wrote this, like, our government functioned better than it does today.
Yep.
Right.
But that's exactly what we see, all the people who are supposed to be making the choices and decisions for the country. Like, no responsibility. There's no one really holding them accountable.
Right.
And that's why it's all fucked up right now. Like,
I think a perfect example of what he's talking about is like Greece, right?
mm-hmm.
Where you have people that vote in like very 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 sort of like liberal. I'm trying to think of it like welfare and like retirement and like social support for people, and like they don't have the money for it basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the government goes bankrupt because they can't pay for it, and then like the European Union kind of has to like bail them out, right?
Yeah.
And like that's basically what he's talking about, like the democracy writing checks that the government can't cash, you know?
Yeah.
And like I don't see why that would be any better if other people were voting, to be honest.
Right.
Like,
right. Well, I felt like I kind of bumped up against that at first, where he was like, yeah, like true democracy was terrible.
Right.
And so we decided to have something where you had to like earn your way into it, and only like a citizen can vote.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And at first I'm kind of like, I don't like that idea. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, basically that's what we've got now with representative government.
Right.
Except the way you buy your way in is you literally buy your way in. And so if you're born poor, like good luck.
Right.
You're going to have to fundraise a hell of a lot to even have a chance of getting into
getting someone to actually represent you.
Yeah, and if you could change it so that you could just learn or earn your way in by doing some sort of service, whether it's, well, military or like civil service or what have you, then that feels a little more fair. Because anyone can go do work.
You can still do that.
Yeah.
If you're capable.
Right.
But you have to be capable.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know we are running behind already. Do you want to get in some specific notes?
Sure.
Where the hell were we?
Who even knows?
I feel like the air conditioning flipped some of my pages here. Here we go. All right.
Wow.
So where were we, right? Like, we just got through boot camp, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny Rico's, like, doing shit. And somewhere he's got some friends that also enlisted with him, Carl and Carmen?
Yep, Carmen.
Yep.
Who we have never seen again. Apparently, they've been writing to each other, though, off-screen.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And his drill instructor is Invader Zim.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yep.
But yes, the first chapter of this section opens up with a quote that the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots. And I said,
Tommy Jefferson.
Boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you tell people if you want them to die for
right.
you.
Yeah.
Your blood in particular is refreshing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Not my blood. Jesus Christ, no. But you.
Well, I have to be here to run the thing afterward.
Yeah. Tommy J got to be here to run the government.
Yeah.
You guys can die.
Yep. And we finally get to hear about bugs. Like, they mentioned it in the first section.
Right.
Now we're really going to talk about them.
Yep.
Apparently, there's been like a war going on this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I liked his quote where he's like, peace is just code for a time when civilians aren't hearing about casualties in the newspaper.
Yeah. And
like, wars still are going on, just there might not be a bunch of people standing and shooting at each other.
Right.
So, yeah, so war is brought into everybody's focus when the bugs attack Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they smear it, I think they said.
Which is a good vocabulary, or a good choice of word for bugs attacking us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he notes that at the time he's like, oh, weird.
Yeah.
Good thing I don't live there.
Good thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
jeez, it didn't affect me at all.
Except,
a whole city being destroyed.
Except.
Well,
we later find this out, but, yeah, so he talks about how the civilians afterwards are demanding, like, all the troops just come home and stand shoulder to shoulder around the earth.
Sounds
like, protect us.
Familiar.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's like, no war was ever won playing defense, although Super Bowls have been won with strong defense. So.
That's true.
You're right.
I'll just point that out for the record. So he's like, no, we have to go on the attack, like stop the aggression at the source. He's been transferred over to the Valley Forge.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. Valley Forge was the ship he went to after boot camp. And the Roughnecks.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's like, it's really different than boot camp, because, like, if you've done drops, you're a roughneck, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really come yell at you as much, like, just a little, but they kind of just let you do your thing, so.
Yep.
I liked him, that moment he had with one of the guys with the skull earrings, like, those are pretty cool.
Right.
Can I buy one? He's like, yeah, you'll get a chance. Like,
yeah. Not right now, but I'll let you know.
When you've earned one, I'll let you buy one, so.
Yeah.
I guess that's the number of drops they went on, or, like, how many casualties were there?
Probably the number of,
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Number of kills.
Yeah, and he's like, it's cool that we get to wear it with our uniform, but he's talking about Operation Bughouse, which was supposed to be like the beachhead attack on Clandathu, where the bugs live. Set up a front, basically, so they can start fighting there.
Yeah.
He's like, might as well have called it Operation Madhouse, because it was effed from the jump. Like,
Yep.
They're supposed to, like, warp right in to the drop point and then, like, precision drop everyone and attack, but the ships end up crashing into one another.
Yeah.
Of course, he's like, I didn't notice. I was in my pod. And, like, in that section in particular, I felt like there was a lot of sympathy here for being like, yeah, some people are like, that guy probably fucked up the whole operation, but, like, you don't know what went on.
Exactly.
Right.
He didn't know what was going on. He's doing the best he can, guys. Like,
Yeah.
Colonel whoever was like, who knows what he was thinking, because his irradiated bones are still on the planet somewhere.
I love that.
Can't
like good luck court-martialing him.
Yeah.
Like, he's a fucking pile of nuclear ashes now.
Yeah.
Like,
ask his bones.
Yeah.
Yep. But, like, his unit does okay, given the circumstances, but heavy casualties all around. And he has his first run-in with a bug. And let's just say it's, like, Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Calls it a madman's attempt to depict an intelligent spider.
Right.
And basically, when they're around, he fucking loses his mind.
Yeah.
Basically doesn't really remember a lot about it. But I liked him talking about how, like, they have castes for the bugs. So there's, like, worker bugs who you could kill, but, like, they're not trying to fight you.
Yeah.
And then the soldier bugs, like, you can blow off their legs and stuff, but they'll just shoot you lopsidedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, you hit them in the spine and they'll run forward until they, like, collapse somewhere, but...
Yeah.
And they're, like, hive brains that are hidden underground with the queens.
Yeah.
That run everything, so... they're kind of like the perfect soldier, and it kind of a parallel to all the stuff he was going through in boot camp. Like, the hive brain somewhere underground tells you to attack, you fucking do it.
That was the thing that I thought was really funny about it.
Yeah.
Is him talking about it like it's so weird and different.
Right.
He talks about it like, man, the bugs, like and then he talks as though he hasn't even realized about, like, they don't tell us shit so that if we get captured, we can't say anything.
Right.
Right.
Which is exactly paralleling his thing about how, like, the workers and the soldiers on the bug side, like, don't really have brains of their own at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then he goes to officer school later on and he gets his brain, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Like, he becomes a brain after that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah. The Neo Dogs make an appearance here, and, like, I probably just was not in the right headspace for it, but, like, they talk about the dogs seeing the bugs and just fucking detonating. They're like, shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Shit!
The dogs are like, nope, no thanks.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, they had to, like, train them later to not just kill themselves when they see the bugs.
Puppyhood, yeah.
Yeah. So, his ship has, like, crashed and basically bloated up. He's, like, trying to get the fuck out of there, and, they extract him, and then they end up merging his crew into the Roger Young, where we picked him up at the beginning of the book.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're just gonna reform this team. It's not worth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point, he was like trying to rescue his commander who was down and like tears his head off instead. Like,
yeah, and
that wasn't so good.
That was another thing that you see is kind of like a difference from the beginning to the end. I guess like them talking about like, you know, we never leave anyone behind, and like we're, you know, this is a thing. And then he gets to that point, and he's just like, yeah, I tried to get him, but I ripped his head off and I left him behind. Whatever. Like,
yeah,
like there was a lot of emotion behind it in the beginning, and then not so much at that point.
Yeah, well,
some other shit was going on.
Yeah.
And
it's probably a difference between like he was wounded versus like, yeah, he's fucking dead. Like, let's go.
Right.
So, so yeah, the Roger Young he starts talking about like it's co-ed, but woman's country is like a walled garden. Like you don't go past this bulkhead without special permission.
Forward of 30.
Yeah. And also there's Navy folks on this ship, but who gives a shit about the Navy, he says.
Another true thing about the military,
They always gotta talk shit about the other branches.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
Except the Marines. I mean, the Marines do, but they'll talk shit about themselves, too.
True.
Yeah.
That's why I know that Marines like to eat crayons. That's a common Marine joke. And they'll make it about themselves. All the time.
Yeah. So, they talk about the lieutenant on the ship who's like their father. Somehow knows everything about all like 100 plus of them in his unit and loves every one of them.
Of course.
Of course. And Sergeant Jelly, who's like their mother and also the avatar of the lieutenant. Can speak ex cathedral for him. Like
that was one of my favorite turns of phrases in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like the implication too. He's like, he didn't have to say no to things. He's like, I don't think the lieutenant would like that though. And like, oh shit, okay.
Right, exactly.
Sorry.
Didn't have to say anything.
Wait till your father gets home.
Yep. But,
they'll just stare at you disapprovingly like, I'm sad.
Yeah.
You disappointed me.
Yeah, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
Also, you're court-martialed.
Well, hey, them's the rules if you fuck up bad enough.
Yep. So Johnny, like, gets word from his aunt that his mom had been visiting Buenos Aires when it was attacked.
Yep.
And because she didn't know how to send it properly, it, like, went through the non-encrypted channel, so it took forever to get to him.
Yeah.
So, and she's, like, blaming him. Like, either because I enlisted and so she was going to have to go travel to deal with her depression from that, or because I hadn't literally been there to stop them, so.
Yeah.
And it's not too long after that Lieutenant is killed in action while literally throwing some people onto an extraction ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
And, like, it's a dark time for us.
Yep.
And it was like, one of them might have been me. Who can say?
Right.
Was he just admitting it, or is he just saying, like, again, like he was so crazy down there?
It doesn't.
It might have.
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter, I guess.
Yeah.
We're just kind of left to go. Me, it probably was you, but you were one of them.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter at this point.
It could equally have been him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they carry on anyway, and Jelly basically takes over as if the lieutenant was still there and was just, like, in the other room.
Yeah.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. So, that's when we catch back up to the story from Chapter 1, with him coming back to the ship after that raid on the Skinnies. And it might not be right there, but we get some information about how, like, the Skinnies were Italy in this war. They, like, started on the other side with the bugs.
Yeah.
They're like, oh shit, like, we shouldn't be with them. Like,
right.
You're the enemy of my enemy, so we'll ally with the Terrans.
Yeah.
Like, they talked about in the first section how he was, like, an acting assistant section leader on that drop. And there was that guy, Ace, who was not too big a fan of his. Like, so he's, like, recently got promoted to corporal, and so he's like, I think I need to take care of this situation with him.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I can't have anyone to drop your word that isn't going to cooperate with you, so it's like...
Right.
Ace, you should have been the assistant section leader. Like, you're older than me and been here longer. And Ace is like, no. No, I'm not interested in that, but I'm certainly not going to do what you want me to do. Neither are my guys. Like, we won't even peel potatoes for you.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, why don't you just see me in the shower then, sir?
Yeah.
Right. Let's handle this.
He's like, okay, first things first, no punching faces, no breaking bones, no insulting mothers. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do this the right way.
Yep.
Have a nice fight in the showers. Like, don't accidentally kill each other, but talk about how, trained military guys will kill you right away, but when they're not trying to kill you, those kind of things can go on for a while, but he kind of wakes up with Ace splashing him in the face with water, and he's like, now you need to punch me as hard as you can.
Yeah.
So he does, he's like, okay, fine, we're good. Everyone shakes hands.
Yep.
Boys.
Fight Club.
Boys, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Super healthy. Great way to handle things.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't have to have emotions if you just punch them out of each other.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
That's
after
how
that,
it was done. I don't know.
we get to go to Sanctuary for some refueling of drop pods
Uh-huh.
and some R&R.
Yep.
Like, Sanctuary is like the military's secret second Earth base.
It's
Mhm.
like Ryza, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. But only, like, senior officers even know where it was. Because, again, if nobody knows where it is, no one can torture that out of you.
Right.
Like, they literally described it very intactfully as Earth's retarded brother.
Yep.
It's just as old as Earth, but not nearly as developed. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
because it doesn't have as much radiation.
Mhm.
So there's not as many mutations.
Which I think that's like maybe not quite correct science.
Right.
But okay.
Yeah, if you don't think about it too
I
long,
mean,
it
it's
sounds
you
good.
know, it's been a few years since the book was written. I feel like
It has.
maybe
Yeah.
and some of that might also be the stupidity again of the characters talking.
Right.
Yeah, and the culture they're part of.
Yes.
Does
That
kind of
was my
sound like the
thing,
thing you
like-
would talk about, like, drinking with your friend. Like, I heard it's because of
Yeah.
radiation.
Yeah. And even though they say they're obsessed with, like, oh, you have to use a logical or reasoned out answer, like, to come up with, solutions for everything, I'm like, are they really doing that? Or is it still operating within the framework what they determine that means?
Right.
Well, I mean, whenever you're operating in logic, you're always operating from a set of assumptions.
Right.
Right.
So whatever their philosophy class was, they were given a set of assumptions at the very beginning.
Right.
And everything that they do in the class derives from those assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
And probably, I would say that one of the basic assumptions in there is that, ethics, morality has to derive somehow from our biology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're making a lot of assumptions about what our biology is
Right.
Mm-hmm.
based on our behavior, which I don't think those are necessarily correct either.
Right.
Yeah.
So probably a lot of the conclusions they're drawing in their philosophy class aren't. I would say I don't agree with them just because I don't agree with their assumptions about biology.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's how it works. You're given a set of assumptions, prove something based on this set of assumptions.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But the other thing it has there is a 24-hour day, which that felt like, or 25-hour day.
25,
which
yeah.
felt like a kind of a joke where he's like, I got to catch up on all my sleep. I'm like, okay, but
Well, I mean,
did you though? I'm like, if
But I
you
mean-
have to merge back with like standard time when you come back,
Yeah. I
But-
mean,
I guess there'd be complications to try to merge. Like, okay, today they're this many hours ahead. Tomorrow they're this many hours ahead. Like
yeah. I mean,
every
it's just
24 days we
it's
catch
just
up with
a
them.
different-
Yeah.
different-
Yeah.
like, Mars has its own thing,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like, they count souls
Uh-huh.
on Mars,
Right.
and like, a Martian soul is like 24 hours and 40 minutes or something. I don't remember. And you can buy a watch even
Oh,
that keeps
Oh,
Mars,
Mars
time.
time. Wow.
Oh, that'd be fun. I should
Fancy.
do that.
Yeah.
But also, you know what they have? Lots of ladies.
Oh.
And they have
Mm.
fun ways to relieve you of money and I assume stress too.
I'm
Nah,
sure.
not so much. They just take your money.
And once you're broke, there's others that are also like to support the troops. So, and Carl had even written to him to suggest one personally. So, like a Yelp review, I guess.
Right.
Afterwards, Ace takes him out for drinks, and he's like, "You know what? You should go career." He's like, "You're just the amount of smart they like in an officer," and it's not like you're gonna. They're not gonna let you go home after your 2 years are up anyway. Like, look at these bugs out here. Like,
yeah.
You might as well. So, like, to his slight credit, like Johnny does kind of like take a walk.
Yeah, he actually thinks about it instead of just like,
okay.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, by the end of the walk, he's like exactly where he was meant to go.
Yep.
Like exactly where they told him to go.
Yep. He's like right there at Jelly's office. He's like, I'm going to go career. He's like, I've already filled out the paperwork.
Yeah. Johnny Rico, you've been tricked again.
Yep. Somebody suggested to Ace to suggest that to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then he's disembarking from the Roger Gun for OCS. Recently been promoted to sergeant. I guess we find because he was doing like the power suit maintenance.
Yeah.
And runs into, of all people, his old dad, who's reporting to the Roger Young. And he pulls him aside like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
I thought you were
Surprise.
dead. He's like, well, I didn't go to Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
But, he has like a heart-to-heart and is basically explaining that he'd been jealous of Johnny because he was out there proving that he was a man, doing whatever he wanted to with his freedom.
Yeah.
And when your mom died, like, freed me up that I could do the same. So
Yeah.
he requested his ship in particular, but ironic that he's boarding as soon as he's leaving. Like, well, I don't know, maybe I'll fail out of officer school and I can be just right back. He's like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
So he reports to OCS, strips off his chevrons, like, you're a cadet all over again. Basically has to go back to boot camp exercises, plus a lot of school.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we talked about this before, but we did all that boot camp stuff. Mm-hmm. And also a lot of school, and we had to do history and military philosophy again.
Yep. But this time you have to pass it.
You have to pass it, and the professor will determine not only if you pass, but even you should stay in the military afterward. Like,
yeah. Because you have to agree with their philosophy.
Right.
You have to.
Yeah. Yep. And this professor like assigns Snape level of homework too if you don't get your social mathematical answers to his philosophy questions. So.
Yeah.
Right.
Just write me a graduate thesis by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So and there is a lot of philosophizing in here, and like to cut it down to maybe the key points for me, is the question of like how many lives justify starting a war.
Right.
Like they talked about that POW situation.
Yeah.
From the whatever war started this society. He was like, is 1 million enough? He's like, sure. Like, well, what about one? He's like, I guess. And then again, like, why their government has endured over the others when they fell into revolutions, like, because it hasn't failed yet, and because they only discriminate voting rights based on service.
Yeah.
So the voters here have to be the type of people to get off their ass, make an effort, and basically put their lives on the line.
Yeah.
Right.
And go through people be like, you shouldn't do this. Like, what are you doing? You don't want to join the military. That's stupid. Yeah. Go home. So.
Well, yeah, because it shows they moved beyond that just thinking about themselves, even just a little bit.
Yes.
To start with, and then the military can build on that.
Right. And also that the idea that if Earth ever achieved like perfect balance and everyone had everything they need and ended war, the bugs would just swoop in and fuck you up anyway. So
yeah, that's the whole dark forest theory of. But don't. Isaac Arthur has a great sort of podcast episode, I guess, about the idea of the dark forest and why it's flawed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dark forest, if you don't know, the idea is basically just that if you think about aliens, maybe the reason that we don't see any from where we are is that everyone is afraid to pipe up.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because if they
something
pipe
else
up,
is out
then
there.
something angry is going to find them.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
everyone keeps quiet.
Right.
Everyone, because everyone knows that as soon as some other species knows where you are, they know that you're competition for resources, and they're gonna take you out, because if they don't do it soon, you're going to exponentially expand through the universe.
Yeah.
Right.
So if everyone is exponentially expanding, we gotta take people out.
Right.
Otherwise we won't have enough for ourselves. We'll get drowned out. But yeah, Isaac Arthur has great rebuttals to that. Check him out.
What's this podcast called?
I think it's called, it's called SFIA, I think. Yeah, I think it's just called SFIA, Science Fiction and Futurism with Isaac Arthur, something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. But he does like deep dives into, extensive things about, science fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking about the future, and he's a very well-reasoned person. He's also, ex-military.
Oh, nice.
And so he does have like a good perspective on these kinds of things.
Yeah.
He probably would have a lot to say about Starship Troopers, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we should have him on as a guest. Call him up. Get your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's, yeah, so they also talk about the government and how it started, which we chatted about earlier. And then, Carmen shows up. And turns a bunch of bunch of heads one day, like
right,
walking around in her navy whites to formally request, like, can I take Johnny out on a dinner date?
Nice.
And it was like, ooh,
He got so much cred for that.
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah. And then they just kind of go out to dinner, and she's looking good with her shaved head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he finally recognizes her as like a fighting man and a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the same time. But they pour one out for Carl, who died off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, people are dying everywhere, so whatever.
Yeah.
And
we'll make it count.
Gets a goodbye kiss. And this was like my one big complaint of this section. Was like, I wanted to know more about the other people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of side characters and stuff in here.
Yeah.
That are interesting. And I'm like, I want to hear more about them. Like, what happened later? Like,
yeah, but Johnny doesn't give a fuck. So you don't get to know.
Well, maybe he does, but I feel like, he's writing this years later.
Well, I honestly get the impression that Johnny doesn't fucking want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's, yes, it is.
That's not relevant
later.
to what he's writing here, so he's going to keep that to himself.
You get the impression, seriously, sometimes while he's writing, that he's like, this is too much for me to write about. I'm just going to set it aside, and we're going to move on to the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like, that's a very, war veteran thing to do, right?
Right.
Like, I have things that I don't want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
You get that reading this.
Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so shortly after that, Johnny and two other cadets are called into the commandant's office to receive their, alternative assessment that they get to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their commanding assignment. They're going to temporarily be promoted to 3rd lieutenant and set out on a mission.
Which is not a real rank, apparently.
It's
correct.
It's a rank that's only there to insert them into chain of command.
Yes.
So that if everyone fucking dies,
they're still around.
There's still you.
And guess what? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're technically in the chain of command. And they go into a lot of speechifying to put the fear of God in them about, listen, people are going to be relying on you to tell them what to do.
Yep.
And they will die if you do it wrong.
Yep.
And they'll die if you hesitate. So, you gotta fucking take charge. Yeah, even if you get mealy-mouthed or second-guess yourself, they're fucked. So, get ready to die because you're probably gonna have to. And they get some temporary pips to wear for their jobs, and, all of these are from somebody else.
Yep.
So, apparently, Professor Dubois had written in, like, could he use mine when he gets assigned this? Which he's like, it's cool, Professor's still checking on me.
Yeah.
Right.
But also they lost his pips, so they can't use those. But the Commandant gives his own. He's like 4 out of 5 times everyone's died, but hopefully you can break the streak. These used to be mine.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, Johnny's assigned to the Tours, which is like way bigger than the Roger Young.
Yes.
And there's more ladies.
Ooh.
Uh,
Loves talking about ladies.
Yeah, they're the only reason to fight these stupid wars. Like,
yeah, he keeps saying that.
Yeah. And if you don't understand why it's critical to have a lady wishing you good luck right before you drop, then you don't get it. Like, you missed the point, son.
I mean, like, they did do studies. Like, I know this from, in fighter jets, all of the warning stuff is in a female voice because the pilots respond to it better.
Yeah.
All of them, men and women.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like, they had to study it, they figured it out. Like, yeah, so like your plane is too fucking low, warning.
Right.
Is a woman's voice.
Yeah.
Because it works better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Now I think it would work better if it was Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci.
What the fuck are you doing?
He seems like a guy who can get things done.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he's just like always pleased. Like, I got to see a lady.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
Because ladies look pretty.
I mean, that's how I feel sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Absolutely. And
right.
We'll make this official stance for the podcast.
For the podcast,
ladies look pretty, and that's nice.
We enjoy seeing a lady.
We do.
Yes,
it's nice. It's very nice.
It is. Yeah, he also gets to hang out and eat with the officers, even though he doesn't seem to get the etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of like
told him,
like kind of like elbow him in the ribs, like fuck.
Yeah.
Pull out the chair. And he's
an officer, but not yet a gentleman.
But he will be.
There's nowhere else to go. He's given a platoon on the ship, and chats with Captain Blackburn, Blackie, who's like impressing on him that like you need to be more casual now because you're an officer. Like, you can't be calling me sir.
Yeah.
Like, you need to or show everybody that you're kind of above the power rankings now. Like, you're too cool for school.
Yeah.
And ask him for some recommendations. Like, okay, you've seen the platoon. What are you going to do? Like, who gets promoted? Like, what's going to happen? And seems to at least make decent enough recommendations. He's not like, get the fuck off my ship.
Right. Yeah.
Get out of here with that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
They specifically talk about how they have to break in a whole shitload of power suits, and they're short-handed. So he's like, can I help with that? And he's like, never saw a regulation that said you can't get your hands dirty.
Yep.
Contrary to what some people seem to think.
Right.
So see, he's a servant leader.
Yeah.
Johnny. So he works on suits and does all of the George jobs that the junior officers have to do, like refereeing games for the guys on the spaceship and settling squabbles and stuff. And he's getting tutored in his math because he sucks at math.
Yep.
And to add all that up, he has like a 26-hour day, including sleep. So basically, Blackie comes in and gives him some good time management advice. He's like, you can't do all of this, so do the thing that's going to keep you alive now, like sleeping and exercising. And if you survive, do your math before you have to turn it in on the way home.
Yes.
Just in time production is what you're doing.
Smart.
Yes. Yeah, it's only going to matter if you're not dead, so sleep now. So they soon slot in for a special mission, Operation Royalty, on Planet P, which feels give up. Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Couldn't think of another planet name. It's Planet P, whatever.
It's P.
It wasn't an important planet, so they didn't give it a name.
Or it has a name and they're like, we can't let you know what planet it is, so that if you captured, you can't be like, oh, it was Earth 2.
Right.
They
had Clancy Brown on it playing Danziger, that Earth 2 show.
Yeah. Yeah. But
which
the
I
planet
think will come in the movie for Starship Troopers too.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Ooh. But yeah, there's like nothing specific on there except that they suspect the bugs are using it as like a forward outpost. So the idea is that they're going to. Might be a place they can finally find and capture a bug brain, or even a queen that they could study. So they're basically going to set down, shoot the fuck out of all of the bugs they can, and try to wear them out and capture somebody. In the idea that they might do a prisoner exchange. Like apparently bugs have been taking prisoners the whole time.
Yeah,
apparently.
And they're like, and maybe a brain is worth it to them that they'll trade some of them back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, shoot them until as they're coming out of their holes. Keep shooting them, and then we're going in after them. And again, a lot of military speechifying here that I'm like,
yeah, a lot of descriptions of things that aren't necessary for the
you're gonna
story
swing
necessarily,
west,
but like lots of world building type, and lots of trivia.
Yeah.
You know?
This would be the part of the Star Trek episode where they're like, we're going to do a reverse tachyon pulse. I'm like, yes. Do that. I agree. We should do a reverse tachyon pulse.
Exactly.
But basically the idea is that there's a lot of units and they all have to cover a very large area of ground.
Yep.
They're going in to relieve the prior group and take up their position, but on their way, there's like a lot of downed power suits and like not looking good.
There's not much of a group left when they get there.
Yeah. Johnny puts his platoon in place and is like relying a lot on advice from his sergeant, which is something Blackie and I think the commandant said too.
Yeah.
The sergeant knows what's going on, just like defer to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I also got the impression he's like, does this guy have another line directly to Blackie also, and he's telling him what to tell me?
Yep.
So.
They do.
They find this fucking big radioactive crater. Mm-hmm. And a canyon big enough to set the tours into, plus some.
Yeah, maybe that's why they don't tell you what Planet P was.
That could be.
Because they erased a city.
Fair point. This used to be Detroit.
It used to be.
But no bugs, which is weird. So they pull back and they call in a talent who's just like some guy in like a breathing mask and just kind of like mills around and just draws this map.
He's like one of the fucking precogs from
I think
Minority
so. Yeah.
Report. He's just like a dude in a tank all the time, and he comes out and he's got like the sickly white skin and like the wrinkles around his eyes, and he's just like, everybody shut up for a minute. And then he's like, here's the tunnels. That's where the bugs are.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go home and go to sleep.
Didn't they make a note that or like an offhand comment, he's like, I wonder if he just has really good hearing.
Yeah.
He's like the guy in Red October who's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The sub's doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's entirely possible. They just said he's
just talented.
A remote sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I guess they make a specific sound when they're tunneling. And if they're cutting through rock, it sounds like bacon frying.
Yeah.
Whatever it is they're doing. It's like melting rocks, who knows. But But he like draws out a map of a tunnel leading underground and then he fucks off.
Yep.
And Johnny's like, what the fuck? Is this black magic or something?
Yeah.
But Captain is like, yeah, pull back and let's all get some sleep in shifts. And he's like, sir, I'm not going to take a nap now. I'm ready to sleep. Which is a useful trick that I wish I had taught my kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Sleep.
Apparently involves a lot of hypnosis and suggestion.
Yeah, yeah. And I did like him being like, I'm not going to sleep. What? He's like, you've been asleep for 3 hours. Damn it.
Fuck you, Captain.
Damn it.
God damn it.
Stop doing the sleepy thing on me. I would totally abuse that. Are you going to finish that? Yes, I am. No, you're not. So yeah, they wake up And then he said it, the listening posts start to pick up the noise of the frying bacon. And they're like, good, now remember, you just watch, don't engage. Like,
right.
We want them to come up here, and no way in hell you can hold all of them off. So, but then, like, everything starts happening at once. Like, bugs are busting out of the ground. Johnny even falls into one of the holes.
Yep.
It's like falling through branches of a tree, but
yeah,
the surge of the bugs carries him back out. He's like, none of them are attacking. He realizes they're all workers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, are they fainting? Like, is this like a distraction? Like a, whatever,
Who
but,
knows, right?
tries to call the captain who's like offline. So he has to go back to his platoon, who's besotted with bugs.
Yeah.
And 2 of his guys are missing down the hole.
Yeah.
And big concussive space lasers are knocking everybody off balance, including the bugs, which he's like, I don't know if that's just the blast or like a brain has been hit nearby.
Yeah.
He jumps into this hole that leads into the tunnel they had mapped before, before he can overthink it. And some of his bros follow him in.
Yeah.
He's able to kind of he's able to radio them underground and uses the maps to kind of figure out where they are. One of his sergeants is like, I'm kind of in a pickle right now. Like,
yeah,
there's big trouble and you shouldn't come after me. He's like, you know what? Eat shit. I'm coming anyway.
Yeah.
There's like a bug attack in the tunnel right as they find the other guy. And since they're not keen on flamethrowing each other, they have to like kung fu them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The other sergeant, whoever, is killed, but his men join up with Johnny's group, and they make their way down to the other guy, who is literally pinned behind a brain bug. So there's soldier bugs on the other side. They're like, I would love to shoot you, but I can't literally shoot myself in the brain. So just kind of having a Mexican standoff. But Johnny's like, I don't have a restriction for this, so he shoots them all.
Yeah.
And then the roof caves in.
Yep.
And then Johnny wakes up in the hospital on his way back to Sanctuary. And pretty sure he's on his way to be demoted back to like a buck sergeant as well.
Yeah.
He kind of fills us in on some details about what happened, though he's sure he'll never know the whole thing. Like, his sergeant had heard, like, his relay that there were workers coming out instead of soldiers. And wherever he was seeing that, but also a small number of soldiers were in there. So he's like, this has got to be a desperation push. Like, if they had a bunch of soldiers, they wouldn't be fainting. They would just push them all out.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's like, this is probably my one chance for a single guy to come make a push. So he did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they
doing all the things that they told you not to do.
Yeah, like, don't be a hero, don't be looking for a medal.
Yeah.
Except for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But all things accounted for, they did not capture any queens, because the bugs killed them when they looked like they're going to be captured. But they did get 6 brains. But no prisoner exchanges were made. Although the psych warfare guys did get some live brains to study.
Jeez.
He's like, and by the way, that sergeant who did all that, Sergeant Zim.
Yeah.
Now you know the rest of the backstory.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was Zim all along.
Zim all along.
Knowing that kung fu stuff.
Yep.
Yep. But I guess Blackie must have thought he did an okay job, because he signs his permission slip, and JR does make it to second lieutenant.
Yes.
And is even reassigned to the Roger Young, with his dad still being there.
Hooray.
Yeah. Also, side note, as he's going back with Angel, who also has already done his assignment.
Yep.
He's like, by the way, here's a saying, home is where the heart is, in my native language of Tagalog.
Yeah.
So apparently he's from the Philippines.
Apparently.
Yeah.
That was surprising.
Yeah. And a bunch of ships are amassing now at Sanctuary. And probably headed off to do some shit.
I liked we speak English, but we also speak this at home.
Yeah. Seems like they're going to do some shit.
Does.
Yeah. And one of the ships is named the Kamehameha, so.
Nice.
Probably named after the Hawaiian King, not the Dragon Ball Z attack.
Which was like...
But you can't be sure.
The Hawaiian King.
Years later.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of can, given when Dragon Ball came out versus this. So.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. And then there's like this little coda chapter in the future where the Roger Young is now prepping to drop on Klendathu. Mm-hmm. Jelly is the captain now. Mm-hmm. And Johnny has a third lieutenant of his own doing his field test.
Yep.
He's like, listen, men, we're going to go down there, and we're going to stay there this time.
Yep.
Buttons everyone into their pods, gets a hug from his platoon sergeant Papa.
Right.
To help with his shakes, and they're off.
Yep.
The
end.
My God.
Right.
Whew. We did it.
We did.
So, it does feel like they were left it quite open for sequels, although...
I mean, I feel like that's kind of the end of the war, though, right?
If they can take Klendathu, right?
I feel like they turn the tide when they capture the brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the thinking is they can now. That's why they're trying like this. They have
their version
tactics.
of the Enigma machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now they can figure out what the bugs are doing, maybe.
They know something about their culture and their mindset now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and they also talked about...
They bad enough that they'll stop fighting.
Yeah, they researched enough of their nervous system to be able to create a gas that affected the bugs and not them.
Yeah.
So maybe with the added part of their brain, they can give them LSD or something.
Jeez.
Right.
Or something. So final thoughts? What did we think overall?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it did run a bit long for me when he did get into the stuff that was mostly just organizational bullshit.
Right.
Any time he was talking too much about military hierarchy, or he was talking too much about bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I'm I get it, it's part of the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And it does make it feel very real, very lived in. Absolutely. Right. And if you're somebody who's into military stuff, you'd probably find it more fascinating, but you'd also, I think, be well, but this is basically how it is for real, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You just, for me, it was a little much to read sometimes.
Yeah.
But it was overall very good.
Yeah. Well, I think I had the same comment when we did Red October.
Yeah.
Although it's a different kind of military detail there, where I'm I don't care how many, fucking engines this thing has, or
Yeah, I don't care how many bullets fit in the magazine of a particular gun.
This one had the more, personal side of the military stuff,
Yeah.
I think we talked about last time, it did feel a lot like just somebody talking about when they went to boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there are space bugs, but mostly it's just boot camp.
Yeah, so. No, I mean, it really strikes you as a memoir, right, of somebody who was in the military, just in space.
Right. Right. With
kind of works All Quiet on the Western Front in that regard.
Yeah.
Right.
Based on somebody's experiences, but set in a different type of deal.
Yeah.
Although that one was a little closer to the author than this would have been the timeline. But that's what does make them feel so lived in.
Right.
So
well, and keeping in mind that this was originally a serial thing.
Yeah.
That makes some sense too. They're what am I going to talk about this week? I fucking hated I never got to sleep in boot camp. Talk about that. Wonder if you would have written it slightly different if you knew he was sitting down to write a novel about it. So.
Right.
Yeah.
But I liked it overall.
Same.
I thought it moved really quickly.
Yeah.
Despite all that military detail, when I actually sat down to read it, it didn't take long to read.
Right.
So it was never a slog, but
yeah.
I could have stood for some more description of fighting a nightmare bug in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something, because again, maybe I'm expecting it because having seen the movie, I'm something a little more fun.
Yeah.
Or a little more campy, a little more Plants of the AP. I don't know.
Yeah, he just wasn't
But it's
that
not
kind of
supposed
author.
to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, that's not his style.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Not wrong they didn't include it. I would have appreciated it, though.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I would appreciate that most times. So, would you recommend it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, clearly.
Especially to get
a
people
classic
like...
of science fiction.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's super important, I think, for understanding sci-fi.
Yeah.
And Heinlein and all that, so people should read it.
Yeah, read this one and then read Stranger in a Strange Land.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see how complex an individual Heinlein is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair. Do they have a movie for that? Like, can we do...
I don't think
Do
there's
that
Stranger in a Strange Land? I don't think so.
It would be hard to do a movie of that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Cool.
Yeah.
Now we have to watch this goddamn movie.
Uh-huh.
Yep, that we do. It's on Netflix.
And I have to go back and remind myself all of the preseason bets we did about Danielle's reaction to it.
Yeah.
So I can see how that goes. But Chris,
that.
do you have anything else that's good? New puppy?
We got the new pup. They said when we got her she was like over a year, but we think she's actually under a year.
Yeah.
But she's cute and lovey. She's got all that great companion love of a spaniel.
Oh.
With some of the energy and a little bit of the body structure of a blue heeler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. It's just working out so far. Just adorable every time you see her.
Yeah.
So she's
Puppies are
figuring
cute.
stuff out. And she's figuring out if this is where she's at forever. She went to foster first time in like March.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody adopted her in April, but returned her in May.
Yeah.
Because they said she was like too aggressive or something.
What?
We're like this baby is not aggressive. She's just a puppy.
Just a puppy.
Just a
Yeah.
baby.
She's a little nippy, but that's because she's a puppy.
She's a puppy.
But when she plays, she makes those spaniel play growls. I guess that threw somebody off. I don't know. But,
that could be.
Yeah.
you know, and she gets a little barky when she's playing with Pickle when they're doing like tug of war and shit. That's because she's really into it.
Yeah.
Like she's not threatening at all. She's just really into it.
As long as you have space for a dog like that and like energy to deal with it, it's great.
Yeah.
Like
So she's
people
doing all right.
people are really dumb. Like
People
they get
are.
dogs. They get dogs without knowing what dogs are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
what we
like-
talk about, and like knowing anything about the breed and what they need. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
but they took her to Matt and Brittany took her to PetSmart yesterday with Izzy, but they said she got really kind of scared in the car
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
going to PetSmart because she was thinking that we were taking her
Aw.
taking her back.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you poor little thing." Well, there's no way to like teach you that we're not if we don't take you out and then bring you home.
Yeah. I mean,
You know.
Dongo, even now, like, it doesn't matter if we put her in the car. Like, she knows something bad's gonna happen. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but she'll get used to that and finally realize, no, you're staying here.
Right.
Like, you're not going anywhere else, kiddo. You're here forever. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I learned this existed. So I
Mhm.
bought it at some point, like this weekend.
Is oh
Stoic
So-
philosophy of Marcus Aurelius, Verissimus.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel, like, biography of him.
Oh, neat.
Oh, neat.
So, with his philosophies interspersed in there.
Yeah.
I bet that will line up pretty neatly with a lot of the shit we just read.
It probably will.
Yeah.
Given he is the closest example of a philosopher king
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we've seen from really any time, but especially from the ancient world.
Yeah.
Right.
So he is generally regarded as like one of the best, like later good parts of the empire emperors
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
and whatnot. It's just unfortunately, like many of those emperors, they were always undone by their sons.
Well, yeah.
So because his son was shitty. His son was, for kids who don't remember, who have never seen the movies yet, his son was Commodus. Now, unlike
Which
the
we
movie
named a toilet
Gladiator,
after.
yeah,
Wait,
unlike
was
the
that the
movie
guy from
Gladiator,
Gladiator?
yeah, Commodus reigned for a while, and then he died. But they set him up for the Severans, And that's who I got that Denarius from, Septimius Severus, for my birthday that I told you guys about. And he was one of the last really decent emperors before the crises of the 3rd centuries. But, like, his family reigned for a few guys, but all his good work was undone by his son. Because he had 2 sons, and I can't remember who the one... Probably his other son who was murdered was Geta by his brother, so his brother could rule solely. Yeah, and then they had one more, Severin, and then that was the end of their dynasty, and then it was like the crisis of the 3rd century started.
Oh boy.
So...
And now it's a comic book.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
You can read it for fun.
Yep.
Yeah. Learn some stuff.
You know. Imagine your family tragedy.
Being a comic book.
Think of Richard Harris.
1,000 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
I'd just be happy if anybody knew anything about my family 1,000 years from now. So, I don't know anything about mine 1,000 years ago.
All you have to do is, like, something really insane.
Yeah. Become an emperor of America.
Just make everyone remember your name.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Mint a bunch of Roman-style coins, bury them across, like, the East Coast or whatever, and then someone in the future will find it and wonder.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's what you need to do. Like, just start collecting silver.
Yeah.
You know? Like, just melt it down, stamp your face on it.
Right.
And then throw it into a ravine.
Yeah.
You know, bury it.
Yeah.
You know?
Bury it outside Washington. So was this guy the emperor?
Yeah, exactly.
He was.
Just like everywhere you go, have a pocket full of silver coins with your face on them.
Right. Don't do that.
This must have been the coins they used at the masturbatoriums, because it's got the same face as those. Like,
right.
They're brothel coins.
Oh man, I can see the face actually that I would want you to be making on this coin.
Huh?
Which is
Perfect.
Hey guys.
Right?
Oh my god. Nice. Other Chris, what else is good?
Oh my god, I don't think anything else is good.
Ever.
Yeah. No, like, I read this book. I've been listening to music. I've been listening to a lot of, like, trance lately. Yeah. So, you know, that's a thing. Basically, Anjuna Deep is one of my favorite things, I guess. Mm-hmm. Basically the label, Anjuna Beats, they put out a deep house thing every once in a while, just a collection of a bunch of different artists that they have on their label, mixed together in one album.
Nice.
And so it's like start to finish mixed through, and you just put it on and you chill out. So now,
nice.
And it's nice. So yeah, Anjuna Deep. In particular, lately I've been really enjoying Anjuna Deep 11. So check that one out.
Yeah. How do you spell that?
Anjuna.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Deep. Anjuna Deep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Anjuna Deep 11 is the one that I've been enjoying lately.
All right. Well, anyway.
Yep.
So the thing I was going to say is good is I picked up a random book the other day when we were at the bookstore.
Yes.
Called A Monster Calls.
Okay. It
is written by, this is the play. I don't want the play. I want the book. By Patrick Ness.
Okay.
And it was originally an idea by Siobhan Dowd, but she sadly passed away before she could write it herself.
Yeah.
But I picked it up because looking at the cover, it's got a very scary stories to tell at the dark vibe to it.
Yeah.
And it has a stamp for, Newbery and Caldecott medals.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. But it, so I didn't really know what it was about, but it looked neat.
Mm-hmm.
So the story is about a kid who, is visited by a monster one night. Mm-hmm. Like a walking tree that comes and pulls him out of his room.
Yeah.
And talks to him. Well, maybe I started at the wrong place. Like the kid, his mom is going through some sort of medical situation that they don't ever actually say, but probably is cancer.
Right.
Some advanced form of cancer, and he's basically having to take care of her.
Yeah.
Like his dad moved away to the States, got remarried. His grandma comes around sometimes, but he doesn't like her too much. And his mom is frequently like too tired to like cook him meals or take him to school, so he has to take care of everything.
Yeah.
So the monster shows up and basically just tells me he's going to tell him 3 like fairy tales, and then you have to tell me your life story, and that's kind of the setup for it.
I see.
And so it's kind of, it hits a lot of my sweet spots, like the power of storytelling is a central theme, and like turning traditional fairy tale tropes kind of on their head to kind of explore the idea of, people are complicated, and just because it's an evil witch doesn't mean she's always going to do evil shit.
Yeah.
But of course, they use that to explore the grief that he's like denying himself going through.
Okay.
And God, it's rough. Like, I read it like in a sitting because, it's only like 100 something pages. But, like the whole second half was like through tears because it's just so brutal and honest about the kind of survivor's guilt you can have in those kind of situations. And the idea of why a monster is showing up to help him in this situation. Like giving way to monstrous impulses so you can deal with the frustration of something like that.
Yeah.
So, man, it was good. Like,
you said the author passed away?
Yeah. The original author who had the idea passed away.
Yeah.
And the guy who took over for her ended up writing it, but he said in the forward, like, they talked about it a lot, and he was very excited to take it and run with it. But yeah, it was really good. And they've made a movie about it too, which had Liam Neeson playing the big tree monster.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So I'm going to go check that out next, but it was really good. The pictures were great too, so
yeah,
I can highly recommend it. And Chris is back. So the thing I said that was good is pornography.
I figured.
And whores.
What else would it be?
They're always there.
Always there for you. If you got money.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, that was our session for today. Homework for this time is to go watch the movie version of Starship Troopers. At the time of this recording, you can stream the movie on Netflix, in America at least, and a bunch of other places like AMC Plus and Amazon Prime Video if you've got a subscription. Or, with the current writer's strike in mind, you might want to tell Netflix to fuck all the way off and just hit up your local library and see if you can rent it from there. Or, I got a VHS copy of this for literally $1 from eBay, so yeah, lots of options. As far as on second thoughts today, you might have picked up on this already while listening, but friend Chris Ham was still recovering from a case of tonsillitis when we recorded this, so many thanks, Ham-san, for what you put your body through in order to deliver for our listeners. Today's episode was settled via a gentleman's fistfight in the showers by Chris Ham, other Chris Jacobson. It was edited by me, Travis Rowe, and was sponsored by no one in particular. Until next time, keep fucking reading.
but you have tonsillitis, which is basically the same thing, but not from bacteria.
Yeah.
Right.
Could be anything, really.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
It's just your tonsils didn't do a good job of filtering something out, or it came in extra hard, so now they're fucking up.
Oh. Someone came in extra hard on your tonsils.
So I think I just got... Yeah, they did. Not in a good way either.
There's white stuff all over them now.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Might not be now, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't looked in a few days, so...
Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, they're feeling better.